want you to tell me once again who's fat.
Welcome to This Week in Wrestling. I'm your host, Billy Van Horbeck, and alongside me once again is Stacy Meadows. So, our first subject of the night is Slammiversary. Now, Slammiversary, it was 10 years culminating for TNA, and this is kind of like one of their biggest shows of the year. And for TNA show, I thought it was pretty okay. It's really the first TNA pay-per-view we've had the opportunity of actually ordering on pay-per-view, so it was kind of a big deal to us to see just how a TNA pay-per-view was run. One of the things I want to comment about first off is the intro show was primarily them either talking about the 10 years of TNA or their main event, Sting versus Robert Roode. Now, the Sting versus Robert Roode, with it being such a big build-up, you would imagine this would be the best match of the night. But as far as we're concerned, it was probably the worst match of the night.
Yeah, it was kind of a slow match. They repeated their moves. The whole bottle ending of the match was kind of dumb. And overall, because the pay-per-view kind of pointed to this match, it was kind of a letdown. I mean, there really was nothing exciting about this match. And truthfully, I am getting tired of Robert Roode running around with the title. It's time for someone else to get the title. Time to let someone else. I mean, like RVD. RVD had it for like a couple weeks, and then he didn't even lose the title. He got in a bad storyline, and they just kind of took the title from him. And I thought he would have been a good champ to wrestle around with it for a while.
Well, I think the big problem with this match, or at least the problems I had with the main event of Slammiversary, was a lot of it was Robert Roode constantly running away, and then Sting slamming him into the guardrail. And then Sting slamming him in the guardrail again. And Sting slamming him in the guardrail again. And Sting slamming him in the guardrail again.
Oh, yeah, he repeated that move like 500 times.
And the best move of the whole match was the Scorpion Deathlock on the announce table, which was kind of dumb on Sting's part, because even though Robert Roode tapped out, I mean, it meant nothing because
it was outside the ring.
It was outside the ring, so it was a pointless spot. But at the same time, it was like, wow, Sting could have beaten him here, but yeah, I don't know. And like my brother said, the bottle ending, I mean, the ending just came too abruptly. I mean, it didn't even really feel like a main event. It didn't even feel like it went to time as a normal main event, because it was like, bottle, oh, it's over. And then after the match, Sting goes back to throwing him into the guardrail, throwing him into the guardrail, throwing him into the guardrail, throwing him into the guardrail. And it just, to me, it wasn't a really good match. Now, some of the other matches of the night were actually really good. One of the ones I wanted to point out and talk about a little bit was the return of
James Storm.
James Storm. I'm sorry, I blanked out there for a second. James Storm, and that was a really good return for him because he got to defeat the undefeated Crimson. And how long did he go? Like 170.
470 days he went.
470 days.
Basically, what happened is he came out on Crimson's challenge, and Crimson was claiming, I'm undefeatable, I've been undefeatable for 470 days, I'll make Goldberg look like a poonanny, and James Storm came back in the ring, challenged him, beat him.
And he beat him quick. It wasn't even anything like how they finally defeated Goldberg. I mean, at least Goldberg got a taser. This guy, he just got kicked in the face and it was over. But it was fun because James Storm, you know, making this emotional. It was a good storyline, well done, because James Storm had been out for a while, and he'd been talking about, I don't know if I'll come back to wrestling. You know, my family means so much to me. I got to be out on the range, and I got this opportunity to be with my family. And then suddenly he comes back unannounced, and he just beats Crimson. He beats him really quickly, too. It's a real quick match, but it was a really good storyline, so I enjoyed that a lot. Another match we kind of wanted to pay homage to was the knockout match, which was between Gail Kim and Miss Tussmacher, who, we're very happy to see Miss Tuchmacher come a long way that she has, because when she first started out, I know a lot of fans and a lot of people didn't think she was that good, but she's come a long way as far as her wrestling ability goes. And now to have this opportunity to run around with the knockout title, we think she could do a lot with the knockout title. And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of opponents she faces in the future, and how long they'll actually let her keep the belt, or how long it'll be before Gail Kim gets her belt back. Because I'm sure eventually they're going to give it back to Gail Kim, but it's kind of nice to seeing someone else run around with it for a while.
One thing I wanted to say about the knockout division in TNA, and half the time it's pretty much the only reason to watch the show. I mean, the knockouts have really good storylines, and they do really good stuff, and like the male wrestlers, I mean, they're alright, but like the storylines around them, they'll fight the same opponents like 500 times, and it's like, it's hard to get behind the storylines of people fighting each other 500 times.
Now, you'll notice a lot with our videos that we're more of a WWE fan than we are TNA fans. I know there's a lot of hardcore TNA fans out there, and we do understand. And if you like TNA better than WWE, more power to you, that's fine. But we will give TNA this. They do the women, the knockouts, way better than WWE does the Divas. And that is one thing we praise TNA about, is the way they treat their women in their organization, because we really we love watching women wrestle, and when you actually get to see good women wrestling each other, it's a lot of fun to watch. And WWE, they don't give the women as much time, unless it's on a pay-per-view. They'll give the women a little bit more time, but usually the Divas do not get a lot of time on their show. So that's why we enjoy watching the knockouts a lot more than we do the Divas. And with TNA, having Spike TV, and Spike TV being like a channel, where it's a man's channel, to try to impress the male audience and stuff like that, I don't know why Spike TV hasn't picked up on an idea of maybe doing like an hour-long show of just the knockouts on their channel. But that might be something to come in the future, or something to think about in the future. What other moments about Slammiversary did you like?
The Bully Ray versus Joseph Parks thing, it was a silly match, but it was enjoyable silly. Bully Ray took on Joseph Park, which is supposed to be the brother of Abyss, the lawyer. He's like a lawyer and stuff like that. And so he challenges Bully Ray, or Bully Ray challenged him. They had this big feud for a little while, and it finally culminated to this match. And it was an anything goes match. And the silliest part of the match, because I'm 100% sure Abyss is playing his own brother and just switching costumes, because at one point Abyss, or Joseph Park, crawls under the ring on one side, and Abyss comes out the back of the ring on the other side and slams, Black Hole slams.
It was a choke slam.
Choke slam.
Bully Ray.
Bully Ray to the table, and then he crawls back under the ring, and here comes the Joseph Parks, and he gets the pin. And it was an enjoyable match, but it's silly too, because that Abyss is kind of playing his own brother.
I'm just ready for that match where he just finally admits it. He snaps in the middle of the match, and suddenly Joseph Park is Abyss, and then he beats somebody being Joseph Park, but you could obviously tell he snapped into Abyss or something like that. It'd be kind of cool to watch that.
As band boys, me and him, what we'd like to see really is maybe return, not as a wrestler really, but just as the storyline character of Stevie Ray.
Stevie Richards.
Stevie Richards, yeah. Stevie Richards.
So many Stevies.
Being Dr. Stevie again and coming back and trying to confront either Joseph Parks or Abyss, one of the two, saying, man, you're not well. You need help. And go back to those storylines, because those storylines when we first started watching TNA were fun to watch. I mean, they just were.
Yeah, just have Dr. Stevie come in and say, "All right, Joseph Parks, we both know it's your abyss. Here's your medication. You need your medication back," or something like that.
Yeah.
Or something silly like that. It'd be fun.
Another match I guess we could kind of talk about is the tag match between Devon and Garrett Bischoff versus Robbie E and Robbie T. It was an alright match, but the real thing I want to come out to is the Queen Bee, who comes out and watches the match like she's interested in one of the guys, but they still don't ever reveal who she's actually trying to spy on, and we still haven't got a real clue of who she's after. I hope that storyline reveals itself soon.
Yeah, our theory is it's Bischoff's son. What's Eric Bischoff's son's name? Garrett Bischoff. We think it's him, but I'm kind of hoping it's him, because it being Robbie E or it wouldn't make no sense it being Devon, and I can see it with Robbie E, but he's kind of a jackass, and I don't know. I just don't want to see the Queen Bee team up with Robbie E, and I mean, I'm kind of a fan of hers, so I mean, I know she's mostly a villain, but I still would like to see her like team up with Garrett Bischoff or something like that. Do a storyline between those two, just to see where it goes.
The last real point I'll make, and then we should kind of probably wrap this up, is it was kind of disorienting during the pay-per-view when, like, you stop all the action right in the middle of the pay-per-view, do their Hall of Fame ceremony, which they inducted Sting, which was really cool. I mean, Sting really deserves it, because I don't think he's ever really worked in the WWF, WWE, and so he probably never get inducted into like the WWE Hall of Fame. So I think it's really cool that they do it for him, because he is kind of like an icon. He deserves being in that icon status. But just presenting it in the middle of the show, I mean, just the way they did it was disoriented, because here you have a storyline, you're kind of in the storyline, and all of a sudden you go to like realism, and then you go back to the storylines again. It's just disorienting the way they did it. They should have either done it at the beginning of the show, or they should have done it at the end of the show.
Or they should have just had it as part of the introduction, or like that intro show. They should have maybe talked about Hall of Fame and bringing Sting in and all that. And they said they're going to do like a real Hall of Fame ceremony, I think, at Bound for Glory. And they should do that like as its own like separate. That should be like on Spike TV or something, like they do the Hall of Fame for WWE. And I mean, I'm not trying to, each organization should have their own way of doing it. But I mean, like my brother was saying, I mean, you're following a storyline. When you're watching wrestling, you're supposed to, believe that, everything you're watching is really happening, even though, it's a stage show. It's a stage show, but that'd be like, coming out in the middle of a play or something like that and saying something on the effect to say, okay, everybody, all the cast get together now. Let's all be friends. Let's take this photo. Okay, now back to the story. And it's just kind of like, it takes you out of the storylines. And you're like, oh, wow, these are how they really are. And then, oh, wait, now they all hate each other again. Oh, wait, they're all friends. Oh, wait, now they hate each other again. And it was just a little off to me. But, congratulations to Sting.
Some future Hall of Fame people that they should keep in mind, at least one of them that I think they should have, is Jeff Jarrett. He founded TNA. He should be... I mean, I understand they did Sting because that's a big draw, but Jeff Jarrett really does deserve it. I don't care what his history is with TNA, or if he's had problems with it. He's the one that founded the company, and as a founding member of the company, he should be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Definitely, I definitely agree with that. So, well, anyways, that's our show. That's our segment.
We have to rate the show.
Oh, right. So
we're going to use the rating of Scorpion Deathlock, since Sting was the thing. Overall, on our scale, out of 5, 1 to 5, we felt it was 3.5 Scorpion Deathlocks.
We give Slammiversary 3.5 Scorpion Deathlocks out of 5.